Hi, everybody. So we're going to do an assignment that is related to the idea of using words as a place to begin with our work or to incorporate into our work. And although this is going to be a little bit different from the artists that we saw, it's a really fun exercise that I think will also lead you into thinking about other possibilities with this. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to take a large sheet of paper, a nice big one like this. This is 18 by 24. And what we're going to do is to take some paint, some paint that has water in it, some looser, let's see, that's not showing very well. This is a red, yeah, there we go. Rather loose paint so that we can easily write this word across it. And so you can think of a word. I think it's kind of fun to use a kind of sort of an emotionally powerful word like anger or, anxiety, or let's see if we can be upbeat here, joyful, calm, things like that. And so I'm going to, well, I think it also depends on the color that you choose, or think about the color you choose in relationship to the word that you chose. And I'm going to take this nice red color, and since it's red, I think I'm going to just do, write the word anger over it. And so the way I write anger will sort of describe that feeling, So we'll just start. And what I'm going to try to do is to cover this entire sheet of paper, even if you have to write the word in places where you might not. Like, for example, I ran out of room here with the A-N-G. I should just turn this one on so you can see. And I even put an exclamation point at the bottom. So there you have anger. All right, so what I'm going to do is going to let that dry and come back in a second. Okay, so I've let my painting dry a bit, and I also, while it was drying, ended up putting some marks in the corners. I tried to kind of activate the whole piece of paper. So because you'll see why in a few minutes. What I'm going to do next is to split this painting that you've done in half. So I've already got a fold down the middle. So I think that's what I'm going to go for. I'm just going to use that one right there. And just going to cut it right along the middle. And you could also go this way, or you have a little bit of a longer and skinnier shape. But what we're going to do actually with this is we're going to make accordion books. And it's a very simple, very effective way to put imagery together and to create a series of images that will go together. So I'm just going to show you here. What you want to do is get ready to overlap your two pieces of paper by about an inch or so. As you can see, just like this. What we're going to do is put a little bit of glue all the way down one edge here, and then hold that together. So I'm going to use, I have acrylic medium. If you have Elmer's glue, you could even tape it. It's nice to do with glue though, because it gives it a little bit more finished appearance. So I'm going to stop this right now and quickly glue my piece together. Okay, so I've glued my centerpiece together. It's nice and flat. And now what we're going to do is to go ahead and fold this book up so it becomes an accordion. So what you'll want to do is fold your paper in half. And it should end up being right along the fold you've already got. So it's very good, going to be very close to the fold. Then what we're going to do is keep it folded. Actually, what I'm going to do is just cut this little extra off because my fold is a little bit further away that I was hoping to be. So, and these don't have to be perfect. This is just to kind of give you the general idea of these books. Then we're going to fold it in half one more time. Here we go. All right. Then when we open it up, it's very easy for you to make an accordion. So you just want to go one way and then turn this one the opposite direction. So you really just have a 4-page book here, but that's fine. And if you did want to add more to it, that would be perfectly wonderful. In fact, you know, variation on this theme would be to cut what we have in half right here and glue the other half onto this extra piece here, and then we would have an 8-page book. But right now we have a nice 4-page book. So see, it even stands up by itself quite nicely if you wanted to display it that way. So now, though, we have a book in the beginning. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to approach it like a book and think about it as a series of pages. Actually, you know, it might even be better as if we just reverse the fold here, because this feels like we want to start with the back of a piece of paper and not with it facing up. I'm just going to reverse my fold. There we go. All right, so now, as you can see, we have a book. That's the first spread, right? You know, turn the page, and we've got a second spread. So what I want you to do is to start to work on this book and to incorporate the shapes from the letters that you've got into paintings. And, you know, it could be that you know, want to keep riffing on this word angry, or maybe it makes you think of other words that are related to anger, or other gee, I guess I know where I'm coming from. We're all angry about the pandemic, but or thinking about colors that you know, generate that same kind of feeling. Maybe you even find images in magazines that you could glue on here and add to this. Right now, I feel like it needs a nice background, so I'm sort of moved to do take my black paint. Let's just see what that's like, and just to show you kind of where I might go with this. And you know, as usual, I like to pour my paint out into these containers. It really is a great way. And then if you make more than you need, you can keep it by just putting the cover on it and add a little bit more water to that paint because it's pretty thick. And I'll show you what I might think about doing here. So here's my black paint. I'm thinking that it would be really interesting to just, you know, make the background sort of highlight these shapes that I've got going. And I'm not worried about keeping it, you know, readable. I mean, at this point, what I'm simply doing is I'm using that word as a beginning, you know, using that word as a place from which to riff, as a place to begin my thought process. And, you know, kind of approaching it as I usually do, you know, with a kind of abstract vision in mind. Get a little bit more water on this. So this is just one way. And then, you know, what I often do is I put something down and then I respond to it. You know, I have to start with something and then figure out what it's asking me to do, what the next thing is. And these two halves of your book do not have to be the same. In fact, they would be interesting if they might be really different. So, you know, this is a great assignment because it really, you know, gives you a different way to think about your work. When you're thinking about a book which has pages and you turn the pages and they're sequential, you know, that's the thing about a book. It's somewhat sequential. You're going to try to make sense of it from the beginning to the middle to the end. It's amazing, you know, what happens when you start to work with that format. There's a lot of interesting possibilities. So as I said, I'm just going to put in this black background. Black and red are sort of angry kind of colors, right? They don't have to be angry, but they're just, well, you know, they're very kind of excitable colors. They're very sort of bold colors. So you know, when you use black and red, you know that it's not going to be a wimpy statement. You're really you're kind of shouting something, right? And then that's also the way I wrote that word anger, rather. So I'm just going to keep on doing this and fill it in just so that you get a chance to see one of many, many possibilities that you can do. This paper I'm using is not that great. You know, this is not the drawing weight paper that you all have, but that's okay. It's just to show you what I want to do. You know, the paper you want to have a little bit more sturdiness to it because, you know, this is the size of this kind of lends itself to being a little bit wobbly when you're doing it on such thin paper. So I'm just going to keep going with this and fill it in, leaving a little white border just because. And you know, see what's going on now is I've turned the words, the letters into, you know, it's not legible as that word anymore. It's completely not. All right, so we've got that first page, and this could be something that you just are, you know, happy with, and you know, you might just want to leave it and come back to it, or you may say, all right, I know what else to do. And as I said, don't be afraid to try things with it, and you know, just use that word as a jumping off place. Really, it doesn't have to be you know, like this at all. It could be really a different sort of thing. You can certainly collage onto it. You could add whatever you'd like to on it, but it's a way to get started. All right, so your assignment today and over the week is to make a book, make a couple books actually, using this way of beginning, where you take a word and you write it large across the whole piece of paper. You cut it in half, glue those pieces together, and you know, do a couple backward forward folds, and then we've got a book.